Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is D, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Nine of Bows and Respect. And thinking about this card today after what's transpired over the last couple days, I was like, you know what? By you taking a stand and saying, you know what? I am walking my path, and I appreciate everybody, giving me the mentorship and everything like that. You've gained a respect. You've gained a respect from the King of Bows and the Knight of Bows, or the King of Stones, the Knight of Bows and the Queen of Bows. And the Knight of Arrows just dropped off. And he, with him flying away now, the message that he gave you before he left is, you've got this. You can see the bigger picture from above on where your spiritual journey is going. And I'm going to leave it to you, to decipher, the path to take. The only thing that I'm going to ask of you is, that when you do it, one, stand up for yourself, but do it quick and precisely. And with that, with him leaving, the Wodwose comes out, and he's looking at you, and he really this Wodwose doesn't really say too much, because as you're walking forward, and you still got the wolf and the fox and the hare with you. Yesterday you had that spark of life, right? Of saying, this is the direction I want to go in, the passion, right? And the Wodwose comes out and says, you know what? I'm going to appear on your path, all right, and challenge your dedication and courage to moving forward. And you're just kind of standing off going, wait a minute, I've got this passionate energy to move forward on my spiritual path. And, as soon as you come out, now you're challenging me. But you take that message not as a criticism, but as a compliment. Okay? Because now you can look at it and say, you know what? I can be humble and forgiving as I'm moving forward. Not like I was in the past. Right? My spiritual path has gotten me to this point where I can look at you and say, you know what? I can be humble and forgiving of everything that's happened up to this point. And he looks you in the eyes, and he's kind of, making that determination of whether or not to believe you. Because he's got that arrow cocked. He's ready to move. But he does. He kind of backs off and says, you know what? This person, they know where they're going. They know who they want to be. They know they want to stay on that higher level of energy. All right? And I'm going to give them their respect, but I'm going to keep an eye on them as well. The King of Stones is looking at it going, it's good of you to come out of the woods, and look at our person on this journey, because we have the utmost respect for him, knowing that he's going to have they are going to have that stability, security, and materialism in their life. The Knight of Bows, he's looking at it going, yeah, come on out. I want to play. I've got a lot of energy. And the Wodwose is going, it's not always about energy. Sometimes it's about passion and creativity. And the Queen of Bows, she just looks at him and says, we are on a nurturing journey to move on our spiritual path as fast as we want. And the Wodwose is looking at that going, I like that. Because that does show determination. That does show courage to do what you want to do on your spiritual journey. Not to go fast, not to go slow, but to take it step by step and understand, exactly where you're at this point in time. Okay? Because you can't complete your journey without overcoming challenges. And I do feel that with the court cards that were down here, and with the Five of Arrows, frustration that was down here, that was a challenge. And that could be a challenge within your everyday life. Having everybody coming to you, in your cubicle at work, and, just sitting down and talking. What does that do? That's not productive. That keeps you away from doing your task on the project, or you doing your task at work. All right? Yes, you try to make time for it, but there comes a time where it's like, I got to close the door. And I got to keep people out of my office so I can get my work done. Same thing in a family situation. If you're always attending the needs of the family and you don't have that quiet solitude time for yourself to do what you want, then it just becomes, an open invite. By taking the time and saying, wait, I want to sit outside for 35 to 40 minutes with no interruptions. I want to take in nature. I want to hear the birds sing. I want to watch the geese, waddle through the backyard. Those are the types of things that I want to do. So I can get my own spiritual initiatives back in order. Okay? And when you do that, again, there is that challenge. It's not necessarily, a big challenge, but at the same time to take that stand and say, wait a minute. I need to get my work done. I need time for myself. That's huge. Because that's letting other people know that as you're moving forward in your spiritual journey, that you're not going to take their crap. That you can't live in that negative energy that everybody else wants you to live, in that misery. I've been there. I've seen it. Right? So you're elevating yourself by taking that stand. In doing so, when you do that, you're doing it with compassion. And look at that word, compassion. Passion's in there. You're still doing that with the fervent vigor of passion. You're not being rude. You're not being mean or anything like that. You're just standing up for what you believe in, right? And you're doing, you're letting other people know that, what? I've got this fiery energy, but I'm going to do it in a loving manner, okay? And I'm going to have patience around that. And, by respecting those who are on that challenge with you, or, respecting those that come into your office, I'm sure when they walk out, they're like, you know what? They're absolutely right. I need to focus on my stuff as well. I'm going to go back to my office, right? And get worked on, the stuff. Same thing in a family situation. You become more respectful of those, so your significant other, if they're doing their thing. I'm not going to bother them. And you kind of take that leadership example with them, showing them the respect they deserve, right? Somewhere down the line, they're going to come up and ask a question, which is respect for them to you, because they respect your mentorship. The same way you respect the mentorship of the Queen and Knight of Bows and the King of Stones, right? Being respectful of those that are in your environment helps you on your journey, because it teaches you that knowledge and that wisdom to be the queen, to be the king, to be the knight, to be the page as you're moving through, your spiritual journey. And with that comes wisdom. And the more wisdom gained, earns you that respect from the wildwood forest, from your spirit guides, from the universe. Okay? And that comes from your inner courage, that inner strength that the woodward was talking about here 10 days ago. The dedication and the faith that it takes for you to continue walking your path. And with respect, with everybody that's down here helping you out, there's also a level of proudness. And you can be proud in your journey as you're walking forward. Have some respect for yourself, because it's not easy. And as you do so and you continue to move forward and you gain that level of, I don't want to say enlightenment, but yet at the same point, when you become more in tune with your higher self, you do become enlightened. That's something to be proud of. And that gets you, you should be, respectful of your own path, your own journey. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the Nine of Bows and Respect. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others. And this is Dee for the Spirit's Path, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and stay safe.